The most important thing for you to do as an author, besides write the damn book, is to market your work. It's hard getting people to buy fiction books in particular because, let's face it, fiction books require a lot of commitment and has a lot less certainty in terms of if the customer will feel if they got what they paid for. They spend between 10 to 20 bucks in hopes that your fiction novel will be good and entertaining and maybe even transformative to some degree. They'll have to sit and read it for a couple of hours, and that's a huge investment because that's a lot of time. So how do you market your fiction books in ways that will appeal to potential readers? This video will be mostly focused on like social media marketing because it's one of the best tools that you have out there in today's day and age. For most of the time it is free, and it is something that you can do on your own and on your own time. Mostly. We're going to focus on letting your marketing take away the uncertainty that comes when readers are trying to buy a fiction novel. The worries of, will it be entertaining? Will it actually deliver on the romance? Will it actually deliver on the sci-fi vibes? Will it really deliver what the story is saying that it will deliver in a fulfilling way? We're going to mostly focus on organic looking content, nothing too fancy, which makes your job easier, but I have figured out that people, especially on social media, or readers especially on social media, tend to gravitate towards or more organic looking content. And we're going to focus on going deeper with your work in order to bring about more successful and engaging content and marketing strategies.
If you ain't talking money, don't talk to me. I be over here where the bosses be. Pockets on thick cause I eat my greens. Way too hot, 3,000 degrees. No pit.
Hi, my name is Aaliyah Zealous. I am an Amazon best-selling dark fantasy and sci-fi author of 10 years. And here are my works. I think I have about 6 or 7 works out now. This is a disclaimer, even though I have these accolades under my belt, the road to get here has not been pretty. I do have other streams of income besides book sales, and book sales are not my main income source, but I have had growth over the years in terms of what my book sales and my author career looks like, and I'm just here to share what that is in hopes that it'll help someone else along their writing and author journey. I also want to give you guys some content ideas that I thought was very creative that I have been doing that I think that fiction authors can just benefit from overall. We're just gonna get this out of the way. For a lot of people, marketing sucks. It just does. It's not very fun for some, and I personally have had a really hard time over the years trying to balance what marketing is and what it should look like, what my content should look like, how many times should I post a week / a day, getting a good mixture of long form and informative content versus short form and entertaining and snappy content. And I was finding it really hard to balance posting content to market my books versus other just content period, because I didn't want my socials to become just one giant ad of me trying to sell my books and force it down people's throats. Content like this still provides value and engagement in a meaningful way for current and past readers and potential new readers. I didn't want them to get bored with the same thing. So going back to how I originally posted with trying to post multiple times a day, multiple times a week, I quickly learned that that caused burnout. And even though I know that social media and marketing is a big aspect of trying to sell my work, of trying to continue to bring in more readers until my work is able to sell itself, the culture around marketing fucking sucks. And I'm no longer willing to put my energetic health at risk to maintain this dumping of content and dumping of content until something sticks. The kicker is, as I was continuing to explore different ways of using my social media for marketing, I began to realize that out of all of the content that I would post that week, only 2 or 3 things became relevant to readers and to people on my socials who were looking for fiction books to read. And out of those 2 or 3 things, maybe only 1 thing would be really engaging enough to where it will carry me on into the next week or couple of weeks with bringing people in. And then on the flip side, I would have all these other pieces of content that hardly really got much engagement that I didn't even feel like making, but I felt like I had to because I had to put something out there, and they wouldn't get any engagement. So I figured instead of trying to burn myself out creating all of this content in order to keep up with the trends and to be quote unquote successful in social media and marketing, I decided to take a step back and just focus on the content that I wanted to create and the content that I felt would be most impactful for my books and my book sales and my career, regardless of the quantity of how much I posted. So I just figured I'm going to put all of my energy into making those 3 pieces or 4 pieces of content that I really want to make and that really is true to me and speaks to what I'm about, getting feedback from it and continuing to perfect my marketing and social media that way. I think learning to make content strategically in that way has helped me to not only avoid burnout, but also make the kind of content that I want to make, and also maintain the marketing side of pushing my books without feeling like I'm being too salesy and forcing my work and forcing a connection between me and the audience and the readers. And you'll be surprised with how well my results have been. It's not anything major and completely shifting, but from what I can tell, there has been growth. I'm still building, but I knew that if I wasn't going to be a content churning machine, then my growth would be slower than others, which is okay. And the content that I have been putting out has been great building blocks for marketing my books. So what have I been doing? What's been working for me is organic looking content. When I tell you, it took me a minute to understand this to some degree, and I don't know why it took me this long because I kept saying it over and over again. More organic looking content does way better than, I don't want to say extremely and meticulously put together content, but still put effort into it, but it has to look organic. So for example, I recently made a TikTok. You know, TikTok allows you to have more than, I guess, up to 30 minutes videos now. And I made a TikTok where it was this book commercial for my series Royal Jelly, and oh my god, I had the whole production going. I had costumes, I had makeup, I had multiple characters, and it was just me, girl. And I had a green screen and sound design. That's just a fancy way of saying that I did some extra stuff on the sound and After Effects and stuff. I stuck my foot in that. I was really sticking my foot in that. I had different angles and all that other stuff. It was cinematic. It was worthy of it was cinematic. When I tell you, when I posted that, yes, people liked it. Yes, some people thought it was cool and engaged with it. But when I tell you the type of engagement that I got with that versus the next video that I posted where I was literally in my pajamas and my bonnet, face bare, raggedy pajamas with a piece of paper saying, I'm going to explain to you the dynamics between the relationship dynamics between the characters in my book Royal Jelly, and I'm just sitting there circling, and people really engaged with that. People really ate that up. I'm thinking that they found that relatable. They found it more calming. They found it less alarming. How do I want to say that? Not less alarming, less threatening. I don't know if that's a good word to say, to put it, but yes, less threatening. It felt less threatening, as in I wasn't coming on too strong. I'm assuming the cinematic stuff was cool, but I think that you can tell when it's very cinematic like that and when so much has gone into it, people will appreciate it as a piece of art. But I think that when you're trying to present it as you're trying to sell something, people can feel that undertone of you're trying to sell something to them, versus when my content is much more laid back and I look non-threatening and I'm talking non-threatening and my environment is non-threatening and I'm just telling you about this and that. People just feel more comfortable, and from that post alone, I got lots of engagement on my TikTok and on my YouTube, and I also got sales for my Royal Jelly series from that video. Just remember that organic looking content is queen. So here are some of my content ideas that I've been doing that I feel are creative, different, but also helps you to continue coming up with things to use to market your fiction books. Also, I want to say getting comfortable on camera has been a game changer to me. I know there's a lot of people who don't like being on camera, and there are some content ideas in here that you don't necessarily have to be, but getting comfortable on camera has been a game changer for me. People want to see you, people want to feel you, people want to hear your voice, they want to know that you're a person, they want to know that you're real and weird and quirky. So that's been a complete game changer to me, and I do think that some of these content, well, most of these content ideas are geared towards someone who can show their face. So yeah, I'm pretty sure some of them can be adaptable, but getting comfortable showing yourself on camera can be a huge benefit. One thing that I've been doing is character monologues and POVs. I think that this is something that is a way to be entertaining while also marketing your fiction book as well. People get to be entertained by you speaking or embodying a character and kind of seeing a monologue in real time, while at the same time getting them interested in the storyline, getting them interested in what it is that your book is about. And I have quite a few monologues on my TikTok and some on my YouTube that have done really well, gotten lots of engagement, and I've gotten a lot of sales from. One, of course, is excerpts from books. I don't think that that's super creative, but I guess I just threw that in there because I was listing stuff out. But definitely excerpts from your books, more specifically similar to the monologues, if you can come on camera and kind of live read those excerpts on camera. I noticed that that can get quite a bit of engagement, and people enjoy that. People enjoy like being read to. That's why audiobooks are so popular. And I follow a couple channels on my TikTok where they are just reading. It's like more of a children's books channel, but she is just reading like children's books on TikTok, and I enjoy those. And even coming along the lines of the story time of people telling like real life story times, those things are engaging when people sit down and tell you a story. So I think doing excerpt reads, live ones where you're talking and you're actually telling the story, can be much more engaging than just putting the text on the screen. You can do that too, but just from my experience, being on camera and speaking has brought in a lot more people than just putting the text up on the screen. Character relationship charts and dynamics. Now this is a new one for me, but it was actually enjoyable when I did it, and it surprised me. It got a lot more engagement than I thought it would, and even some sales from it than I thought it would. And that is the TikTok that I was telling you guys about, of me just being in my pajamas and my bonnet and with a white sheet of paper and just talking about the dynamics between the characters. That surprisingly did well, and I did not see that coming, but I don't even have like a reason or a science behind it. I don't even know why that worked, but I guess just along the lines of just being a storyteller. And also, I guess one of the comments that I did notice was it was a great way to share some of like the secrets and tension within the story without being a spoiler. So I think people enjoyed that as well, as learning which characters have secrets. This character has a secret that this character will never know about, and these two, they have a dynamic that's very odd, but what nobody knows is that they have a secret together that nobody else knows, and which characters like who, but the character doesn't know that this character doesn't like that character, and this is the reason why. Just relations, those dynamics between the characters really pique people's interests. So that was a surprising one for me. This one I'm super excited to do. I've had it on my list of content pieces to do. I tried to film one. It didn't go over that well because I feel like I just kind of rushed it and I didn't have all the pieces in places, the pieces that I needed to actually make it successful. But creating DIY projects inspired by your book. That can be like making fantasy crowns, that can be like making warning labels for interesting poisons within your story, that could be creating if there's like a fictitious recipe within your book that one of the characters, they enjoy like a certain food or whatever that's completely made up, recreating what that recipe would look like or what that food would look like in real life. I don't really have results on that yet. That's just like an idea that I'm putting out there because I haven't made the videos that I want to make for that yet. But it is a creative idea of just getting people engaged in a new way, and where it's not just buy my book, this is my book, but it's also like, we're making this crazy fantasy looking object or recipe or decoration. See how I DIY this? And this is also inspired by my book. Now this one I thought was also pretty cute. It also goes along the lines of like monologues and excerpts and stuff like that, but creating a therapy session for your character. So pretend your character is in a therapy session. I think that this one is just a really cute and fun one. It helps you go deeper into your characters as well and into the story, because in these you get to bring out things that aren't necessarily in your book. You get to bring out like new ideas and new motivations behind why your character is the way that they are, and make that a part of the story. And I also like these too. How do I want to put this? It helps you go deeper into your work instead of trying to go wider. So I like doing things like this because, again, for my existing readers who've already read my work and who still like watching my content, it also gives them something new to see. So now they get to see one of their favorite characters going through a therapy session and seeing the different ways in which they were even processing an event that happened in their life, or why they are the way they are, or their relationship dynamic with a certain character. And it just helps you to go deeper into your work, and it helps your past readers go deeper into your work as well, and they kind of have this extra from you, this extra new content that's a part of your book world. And then in the same breath, any new readers or any new people that's coming to your pages, they will be able to see this content for the first time, think it's cool, think it's cute, and be introduced to your book in that way. Of course, behind the scenes of how you built your world, if you have like fantasy maps, if you have your drafts or your outlines, some sketches, even if you have things in real life that your books were inspired by, of course, going behind the scenes with that. I have read somewhere, or I've seen a video somewhere where the woman was kind of talking about, you know, like there are readers who don't necessarily like all of the behind the scenes, like they don't really care about all of the behind the scenes. Mostly other writers really care about the behind the scenes, but I beg to differ. I think that if you really make it about the world and the story, it can be beneficial, and again, it can help bring about little nuggets that your readers may not have known about, and something interesting for new readers to hear about. Now this one is for if you have like your own website, or you sell signed copies in person at events or through your website, creating like a little packing book orders video. I like doing these videos, especially when they're not low effort. They feel low effort for me in reference to having to create like all the extra creative content, but just filming and packing your book orders and shipping them out, that is also a great idea for producing content on what your readers are even buying from you and what new customers are even buying from you, especially if you have multiple works. They're able to see what other people are buying. Also just, you know, signing your books. So you can go sign my books with me while I tell you interesting facts or never before heard facts about my book. I've seen this one before, and it's like match zodiac signs with your characters. I think that this can be a fun one, especially if there are people who are into like the whole zodiac signs, and you know, people love having categories for themselves. I don't want to say categories for themselves, but people love being able to define themselves or being a part of something. So I think having zodiac signs associated with your characters can be a fun, and introducing that to your audience can be a fun way for not only you to show your characters in a different light, but also for the people watching to relate to your characters as well. Making book timelines, listing key events and turning points within your book can also be a great piece of content to put out there. It's very similar to like the character dynamics flow chart. but just like with your entire book. And of course, you don't have to give spoilers. It really helps if your book does have multiple twists and lots of turns inside of it, and you can give little interesting nuggets without spoiling the bigger surprises. But making a book timeline for your book that gives a little bit of you know, like shows the ups and downs and really teases the ups and downs and kind of the downfalls and things that will happen within the book can be really engaging for your audience. Oh, I had separately down here, cook a fictional dish that your character within your book might like. So I had that separately from the DIY projects. I don't know, I guess because one is DIY projects and one is like actually food, but we already covered that. Also, don't be afraid to make content around why you write and what inspired you to write. So I recently created this video out of a conversation that I had with my friend, and it's about why I write. And I was telling her that she was having a hard time finding books with Black characters that she could enjoy, because a lot of literature that she's read growing up, and I've read growing up, has been centered around Black people going through the struggle, going through struggles that mainly have to do with racial discrimination. Like whether that's from a Black author or from an author of a different race, mainly from Black authors. She just always felt like there was an undertone of the book's premise was about them overcoming some type of racial discrimination that she just couldn't relate to, but she was kind of emotionally exhausted from. So I was telling her, that's actually what inspired me to write in the first place, is because I write books that are about Black characters and POC characters that are unaffected by white supremacy. And she just thought that was so interesting, and I thought it was interesting that she thought it was interesting, because I know that that's the reason why I write fiction books, but I never thought that was a reason that other people would want to read my work. So she thought that was so interesting, and I was like, well, yeah, I guess I'll make a TikTok about that, because since you're interested in it, I'm pretty sure now other people might be interested to know that that's what my work is centered around, that my work is kind of a safe space. I don't want to say a safe space like any other literature that does involve the plot or storyline being around racial discrimination is unsafe, but for the people who are looking for literature that is not revolved around that, and they're looking for literature that's unburdened by any racial discrimination or white supremacist ideals and stuff like that's what my work is not about. But because there's an absence of it, I didn't even think about how there's an absence of it, because like it's just not there. So yeah, so I was like, let me make a TikTok about this. Wound up making a TikTok, which is one of this video, and it wound up going like mini viral. It's my first mini viral. It got over 10,000 views on my YouTube shorts, and a lot of engagement, over 700 likes, a lot of engagement. And also on my TikTok, where I make most of my sales, I also got some sales for the said book that I was talking about, for one of my books that I was talking about, my Royal Jelly series. So yeah, don't be afraid to tell people why you write, or even what inspired you to write, because that could be one of the things that they're looking for to read or to support, or something that could significantly relate to them and what they're going through in that moment, to where it will gravitate them towards your work. And then my last pieces, I feel like, are not generic, but you've probably heard these before. Your favorite quotes and character personality quizzes for your characters. I hope these were helpful. I do have more ideas, and I was thinking of making like an ebook to have all of these ideas in one place for authors and writers who kind of just want to have everything in one place. You guys let me know if that's a good idea or not, if that's something you guys would be interested in. Thank you so much for writing. Thank you so much for writing this. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you are interested in more videos like this, you can click on the videos playlist or video that I have on the screen, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
I be over here where the bosses be. Pockets on thick, cause I eat my greens. Way too hot, 3,000 degrees.